Earlier this year, I demoed for you guys the Force 12S by TORO Tech. This is a 4,000 watt SPL subwoofer that performed well enough to earn respect. Well, TORO Tech was watching and they sent us the Fierce 12 to review, and I'ma give an honest opinion. Will the little brother of the TORO family do as good as the big bro? Stay tuned, I think this one will get interesting. TORO Tech debuted on this channel back in December of 2020. I was looking for a 2,000 watt competitor for my massive Hippo XL12. Not a lot of you guys out there had even heard of this company, and from the most recent poll, that remains the same. But in all honesty, this subwoofer put up some good numbers, and that makes a good competitor for its price range. TORO Tech reached out to me and expressed appreciation for the recent reviews and testing of its product. They offered to send me the Fierce 12, an 800 watt subwoofer, and to see if you guys would even be interested. The Fierce series is available in 5 different sizes, ranging from 6.5 to 15 inches. And the TORO Fierce 12 has an 800 watt rating, whereas the Fierce 12S is 1,000. If you want to know where to buy, just follow the links in my descriptions to Amazon for about 130 bucks. That makes the Fierce 12 cheaper than most of its competitor, but does that necessarily make it a better value? TORO markets the Fierce 12 as a competition-ready subwoofer. It has a ribbed foam surround and double red stitching identical to that of the Force lineup. As a matter of speaking, the Fierce and the Force lineup seems to have borrowed the exact same soft parts, but a closer inspection of the mechanical suspension confirmed that the spider assembly is a bit different. The Fierce 12 spider is a lot less stiff and it gives a bit easily with the press test. And this makes perfect sense with the Force 12S being nearly 3 times stronger than the Fierce series. The 2.5 inch copper voice coil is protected by a custom dust cap. This dust cap is fairly strong to the touch and visually appealing, with geometric shape and raised lettering. Its red cotton spiders seem to be progressively rolled and are complemented by dual red stitching for a ribbed foam surround. Its cast aluminum basket is finished with an industrial texture, mostly black with a heavy-duty look. On the spokes of the basket, the company name is embossed in a chrome-colored finish. Couple this with the rib surround, custom dust cap, and stitching, this makes the Fierce 12 one of the most aggressive-looking subwoofers of 21. The 130 ounce magnet is protected by a custom tool rubber boot, which houses 2 strontium magnets, providing plenty of power to the electrical suspension. The rear of the magnet has a total of 9 vents, with a center pole vent measuring over 1.5 inches in diameter. This is plenty of airflow to keep things cool during those high SPL performances. If you are enjoying this video and would like to learn a little bit more about how to simplify car audio, please consider clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. TORO Tech recommends an internal volume of 2.6 cubic foot for its Fierce 12, and it also recommends a 41 Hz tuning frequency for this subwoofer. We already do have an existing enclosure in which we tested the TORO Force 12S, and if you guys would like to check out that video, please click the link on the screen right now. We're going to be using that exact same enclosure to test the Fierce 12 inside of, and as stated before, this enclosure is approximately 2 cubic foot after displacement and is tuned to 40 hertz. This should feel right at home with this subwoofer. I plan to run this subwoofer at an 8 ohm configuration, being that I do have a dual amplifier setup, and these amplifiers are strapped, meaning that whatever resistant load that you give it, it's going to share. These amplifiers will share the load of whatever impedance load that you give it. In my case, this is going to be an 8 ohm load. Each of these amplifiers will be seeing 4 ohms, and at 4 ohms, each of these amplifiers will be outputting roughly 800 watts RMS clean power at full tilt. I will be trying to test to see if this thing can take twice its rated power, but I'm gonna start off the first test just keeping it very, very cautious and not putting it full tilt, but eventually I will be seeing what all the Fierce 12 can handle. Right now we're gonna be giving this an SPL test. I do have my meter in the kick. We're gonna be giving it a 40 hertz test tone, and that is at box tune frequency, and we're gonna see exactly what the Fierce 12 is able to do at a 40 hertz box tune frequency. Let's try that again. And there you go. We got a 140 at 40 hertz. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bump it up to 45 hertz and see exactly what it does at 45 hertz. And despite it feeling like it was a little bit stronger, it didn't seem to move the meter any. So there you go, guys, a 140 at 40 hertz. Let's get some daily music test of this and see how she moves. Once again, I'm not going to turn it full tilt. I just want to see how she moves. It looks to me like she can take a little bit more, guys. Let's see what this subwoofer can do. Let's turn it all the way up. Well, not all the way up. Let's give it a little bit more. Let's see what she can do. Whoo! Oh, snap. Oh, I smell it. I smell it. Let me turn it down. Let me turn it down. Let me turn it down, y'all. Golly. Well, guys, I had to get it back to the house, and just to check the core right quick, I did smell it a bit. I allowed it to cool down a little bit, and it did play just fine. So I think it passed the test, guys. So what do you guys think about that? All right, for all you guys who was wondering exactly what do these two lineups look like side by side, on your left, you have the one we just tested, which is the TORO Fierce 12. And on your right, you have the big brother in the Force lineup. That is the TORO Force 12S, okay? So this is the big one. And if you guys are wondering, yeah, the mechanical suspension look to be exactly the same. But during this press test right here, you guys can see that one is moving a bit more easily than the other, and that being the cheaper subwoofer, because that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a cheaper material. Now, both of these are marketed as competition-ready subwoofers. Okay, the Fierce 12 actually has a much pliable spider. The spider is a lot softer, and it only has single leads there. And that's for good reason. It has a softer suspension because it does not need a stiffer suspension. If it required or was able to put out more power, then you need something as stiff as you have on the Force. But it doesn't need it because it's only rated at 800 watts RMS. Okay, so if you back off of this and you were to actually take a look at the leads and stuff, the leads are exactly the same. The differences of these two subwoofers is the electrical suspension. Yeah, the leads are part of the electrical suspension, but in this case, what I'm mostly focused on is the voice coil, which on the Force is a black aluminum high temperature voice coil, and on the Fierce subwoofer you have a copper voice coil. And also with the electrical suspension, what I wanted to point out was the magnets on these things. The magnets on them are a significant difference, and it is a significant contributing factor into pricing, okay, and performance. Because the bigger the motor, the more electromagnetic flux you can thrust upon the voice coil, but the voice coil have to be able to handle all of that, right? So, and it also have to have adequate cooling for that. So you have a larger motor that you're paying for because it costs money to manufacture and ship these things, and you have a much higher temperature voice coil that also is going to cost you a little bit more because of the engineering and everything that goes on behind it in the manufacturing world. So those are the two big giveaways or takeaways for these subwoofers. Yeah, they have almost identical mechanical suspension, but the electrical suspension is significantly different, and you're going to pay for that. All right, guys, so far so good with the TORO Fierce and the TORO Force lineup, but there are some discrepancies that I want TORO to pay attention to. You guys sent me over here, you guys sent these subwoofers over to me for an honest review, and an honest review is actually what I'm going to give you. Right now, I want to look at this from the perspective of a shopper, someone who's actually consuming these products and going through the process of going and checking out these products. And in order to do that, we got to hop on over to TORO's website. Okay, guys, so right now we over here at TORO's website, and I already have the Force series subwoofers pulled up here. So there's a few things about the website that I did want to point out to you guys, mainly dealing with some of the descriptions that they have here for the features. We're in this section right here, and what I want to point out to you guys is the wiring right here. It says it has 10 gauge oxygen free silver tin, okay, silver tin pure copper wire. Guys, this is not silver tin wire, okay? In case you guys are wondering or don't know what silver tin wire is, what I'm going to be doing is sharing with you guys some wire that I do have, that's silver tin wire that I purchased from Scar Audio. You guys will see from that wire exactly what that is and what it looks like, and I will explain later on what silver tin wire is. It's a more premium wire, and this is not what that is. Another thing I wanted to point out about the description here on the website, and this is for all the guys who are kind of on the fence about, maybe you're on the fence in between making a decision on what kind of subwoofer you would get, and maybe you have 2 or 3 that you have narrowed down, and now it comes down to little nuances like, you know, what kind of wire is the direct lead, what kind of tensor leads do it have, and you're on these websites and you're looking at these specs. It's very, very important that these specs be correct, because if you get this stuff in-house, you have to go through a whole return process that can end up costing you time and money. So in another case right here, you see tensor leads, right? But in this case, this is incorrect as well. They do not have triple heavy duty tensor leads. The tensor leads are dual, which are good. I mean, that's good to see dual tensor leads, but they're not triple tensor leads, okay? You don't have 3 of them. You only have 2. They are stitched into the spider, but you only have 2 of them, okay? So, you know, and depending on what country these subwoofers are shipped from, and where they're actually manufactured at, you may be getting a different grade of copper wire, and you may be getting a different gauge of 10 gauge. The 10 gauge that coming across these are not the same as the American wire gauge. Okay, the standard, the AWG standards are different over here in the States than they are in some other parts of the world. So just keep that in mind as well. You see 10 gauge on one subwoofer, then you see 10 gauge on another subwoofer that looks like 12 or 14 gauge. And that's not necessarily the case right here, but I just wanted to point that out as well. In short, what I think we have here is a company with a pretty good product and some house cleaning to do on its website. We here at the Budget Basehead community would like to once again thank TORO for sending us this product for review. And for those who think differently, quite sure you'll let us know in the comment sections below. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Basehead, and I'm out.